In today's interconnected world, Chinese-made products are flooding global markets, from smartphones and home appliances to cars and electronics. Many of these products are praised for being affordable and high-tech, but there's a growing concern. What happens when they don't work as expected outside of China? The global dilemma: devices that don't work abroad. Imagine this. You purchase a Chinese device, maybe a smartphone or a new car, and it works great until you travel abroad. Suddenly, it won't connect to networks, or it doesn't function the way it's supposed to. You might think, what gives? I paid good money for this. And here's the thing. Some Chinese manufacturers are remotely blocking their devices from working once they leave China. It sounds like something out of a spy movie, right? Well, for many consumers, it's all too real. Devices that work perfectly in China become useless as soon as you try to use them internationally. The case of Chinese smartphones and electronics. Let's start with smartphones. Chinese-made smartphones are often known for their great prices, but not all of them are designed for the global market. Some of these phones are locked into Chinese networks, meaning they won't connect to international mobile networks. So, you've got this shiny new phone in hand, but when you land in Europe or the US, it suddenly becomes a fancy paperweight. And it gets worse. Sometimes these devices are programmed to limit access to certain apps or services depending on the country you're in. That means the phone might work fine in China, but once it crosses the border, it starts blocking essential apps or services that are commonly used in other parts of the world. What's even more frustrating is that manufacturers can disable these features remotely. So one minute, your device is working fine, and the next, it's locked from afar without any clear explanation. The rise of remote car blockages. And it's not just smartphones and gadgets that are getting this treatment. Let's talk about cars. Chinese automakers are now making waves internationally, but they're also facing a similar issue. Chinese-made electric vehicles, EVs for instance, are designed to work in China with a very specific set of apps, charging stations, and even software. But when these cars are driven outside of China, they sometimes experience issues. GPS might stop working. Charging stations could be blocked. And in some cases, the entire driving mode might be disabled. Yes, you're literally locked out of your own car. And again, this isn't some kind of local glitch. Chinese manufacturers can, and sometimes do, access your car remotely, locking it out of international systems. So what do? Return the car to China for repairs? Pay fees to unlock it? Not exactly the smooth driving experience you were promised, is it? The motivation behind remote blockages. So why do manufacturers do this? What's the deal? The main reason is regulatory compliance. Different countries have varying rules when it comes to things like data security, environmental standards, and infrastructure. Rather than tailoring their products to meet each country's specific requirements, some Chinese companies choose the easier route: just block the devices from working outside of China. It's also a way for these companies to maintain control over their products. By limiting or disabling functionality in foreign markets, they keep the product within a controlled ecosystem. This helps them avoid potential legal or logistical headaches and ensures that users don't repurpose or resell their products outside China. The consumer impact, how this affects buyers. So what does this mean for the average consumer? For starters, it means that when you buy a Chinese-made product, you might not be getting what you think. The device or car you purchase could end up being limited in functionality once it leaves China. Buyers are often left with little recourse, whether it's dealing with an unresponsive customer service team or paying extra fees to unlock the product. But here's the kicker. Many of these restrictions are not clearly communicated to consumers at the time of purchase. You might only realize your phone doesn't work when you arrive at your destination, or your car's GPS is disabled once you're already on the road. It's a classic case of buyer beware, and it can lead to a whole lot of frustration. A call for greater transparency and consumer protection. As this issue grows, consumer protection advocates are urging for more transparency. When people buy a product, especially internationally, they need to know that it will work as advertised. No one wants to feel like they've been duped after paying good money for something that turns out to be a China-only device. Countries should put pressure on manufacturers to ensure that products sold internationally are fully functional and compatible with local systems. And in turn, consumers should demand more transparency when purchasing Chinese-made products, especially those sold online. In the end, this issue highlights a bigger problem in the global marketplace. While Chinese manufacturers are known for offering affordable high-tech products, they don't always design them with international use in mind. As a result, international consumers are left facing the reality of remote device blockages. What works in China doesn't always work outside of China, and that can leave you with a device or car you simply can't use. So before making your next big purchase, whether it's a smartphone or an electric car, be sure to double-check if it's truly global ready. Because in this digital age, nothing's worse than buying something that's locked out of the world. Stay informed and make sure your tech is as mobile as you are.